Hi dragons, what's up? It's Nikita. Welcome back to my channel. And in today's video, I'm just gonna dive straight into it because there is just so much I need to get off of my chest that have been lingering on my literal soul that I've just been facing in terms of my trans identity. I feel like I have been withholding and not really talking about a lot of things, and I am very that type of personality where I kind of bottle things in a little bit more, don't really let other people and even myself know what's really going on, and just really explain the truth behind being transgender and what it's really like. And although if you are confused right now, let me just stop myself before I get ahead of myself. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, hi, I'm Nikita Dragun. I am transgender, male to female. And if you're still confused, that means at one point I was a boy and then I transitioned into a woman. And if you are still confused, I have an entire playlist dedicated to my full transition from male to female, and you can start at the beginning and ensure to the end. If you're just here to leave a hate comment, go right ahead, girl. They're probably blocked on my channel, but whatever. If you want to subscribe to, right. Anyways, there have just been a lot of really weird things that I've been facing in my life, and even thinking about it now, I know I'm like smiling about it, but I just really need to discuss, not only for my own well-being, but maybe for the well-being of others. I don't know if there is really anyone else out there that can relate to this. I know I have this mentality sometimes that I am so alone, but for some reason, talking to you guys and talking to the camera and just saying it out loud really just releases it for me. So I'm just gonna go ahead. So basically, I wanna start off with the fact that I am addicted to plastic surgery. And I recently broke this addiction, and I know that's just really a lot to take in right off the gate, but let me explain. So pretty much with my entire transition, I have been very like strategic, and I feel like I've had such a crazy blueprint to it almost. I feel like I've seen how other girls have done it, and I've done my research, and it's always kind of done the same format where, you know, you start hormones when you're a boy and you slowly get on hormones, and you know, you go for months and months and months. And this is called hormone therapy or hormone replacement therapy, HRT, replacing the body's natural testosterone with estrogen. And you know, I'm taking not only estrogen shots, but I'm also taking testosterone blockers to block the natural testosterone that my body is trying to produce, but also trying to push in estrogen. And that on its own is a complete journey. You know, your body is all of a sudden going from thinking like a man and feeling like a male to all of a sudden thinking like a woman, and all of a sudden growing breast tissue, and all of a sudden your bones start to ache and your skin is getting smoother, but at the same time you don't want to get out of bed in the morning, and you're looking at yourself really, really different in the mirror, and that inside voice that's in the back of your head is starting to get louder and louder, and you're really starting to nitpick yourself. I get asked this question all the time: what was the hardest part of your transition? And by far, I will hands down always say that the hormone replacement therapy, the actual replacing of the testosterone and having estrogen induced to your system, like that is the craziest to me, because it's a psychological change as well as a physical change. But that's totally besides the point. What I pretty much was trying to get at is that I got into this place where it became habit and routine to set up a doctor's appointment and go and then get something fixed or get something changed, and then I'd be down for months and months. And then all of a sudden I'd come back, and then it was just this really crazy rush and feeling. You know, when I got my face done, I literally got my whole face transformed into this feminized woman thing. And it really took like an entire year for me to heal from that, if not more. And I feel like just now are things settling on my face. Brow bone shaved, and then I got my nose broken and done, and then I got my jaw shaven and my bones cracked and this and that, scraped and the other, and I was all pinned back up together again. And once I was done, I was immediately thinking about the next thing, which is my breast. And then after that, it was another thing and another thing and another thing. And I pretty much have been in this transition for 3 years now. And now arriving to the point where there really isn't anything for me to fix or for me to do, I have this weird like urge in my body to want to change everything about myself. And it I mean, for me, it just gets really scary, and I'm not gonna lie, it's really hard for me because I feel like this immense pressure on myself to need to pass, to need to be, you know, a woman, and to need to feel like this level of confidence. So I was really in this dark place where I had to like look in the mirror and stop myself from wanting to change everything, because it got to the point where I didn't even know why I was doing the surgeries anymore. And you know, just recently I had this really bad episode where I had major complications and had to get them fixed. So I'm trying to fix this divot. I don't know if you guys can see it now because of the marker that's on it, but this part of my body is concaving, and it actually healed. Basically my body healed too fast, and it kind of healed and went really, really crazy, and it just been noticing it getting worse and worse. Like if you touched it, it almost feels like a rib, or it feels like a bone in there, but it's actually like muscle or tissue or something. I feel like breast augmentation is like a big surgery, you know? I'm just like nervous. I felt so embarrassed that I had gotten to this point where I was fixing and doing so many things that all of a sudden it just didn't even matter anymore. And I was actually doing more harm than good. I am okay with who I am. It is still a work in progress, but in this day and age, it's just gotten really, really hard, just in terms of women in general. Like I feel like across the board, all women have to face this pressure to be perfect and ideal and everything, especially living here in LA and Hollywood. There comes a point where you have to realize that getting these surgeries done isn't gonna fix what's on the inside. And as someone who has faced literally everything and has done literally everything, it just gets to a point where you have to be like, when is it enough? When am I gonna be finally happy? And since I feel like I am in this weird place in my transition where there is no blueprint, where I have done everything, where I have done everything by the steps, and it's like, what next? Like when you are in transition, it's very like, oh my God, I'm so excited for this. Oh my God, I'm so excited for this. I'm so excited to get my boobs done. I'm so excited to get like that done or this done. When everything is like checked off your checklist, you just start looking for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And I felt like I was just getting to this point where I was just making up excuses of why I should do this or do that. And it just became a really, really nasty habit. And what really scared me was the last procedure that I got done, which was redoing my breast, because I had messed up.
So we're gonna bring them in like.
Do you see this thing?
Yeah. Don't worry. I'm gonna have to inject fat in here secondarily.
And pretty much right after that procedure, I knew that I had to go in for yet another procedure. And it was just a really weird time in my life, because I'm like, wow, like I'm like addicted. Like I fully am addicted to plastic surgery. And I knew that it came from my insecurities, obviously, of not feeling like I'm passable enough and just all these other stuff that were coming into my life. So like I had mentioned earlier, this year has obviously been the best year of my life, as well as just a weird year of my life. I feel this constant pressure to pass as a woman, to make others believe that I was naturally born a female, and to feel like I fit into that female category. And I just gotten to this point where I truly just don't give a fuck anymore. And I say that not in a way that it's like, oh, nonchalant and that it's just so easy, because I know it's not. But it just really has been taking such a toll on me when people are constantly commenting, oh, you sound like a man, or I can tell from, you know, that you're a man, or, oh girl, like in between your legs, like what's in between your legs, and just like all this stuff that I feel like I'm constantly having to deal with and having to prove. I've finally gotten to this place where I am okay in my mind, and I am okay in my brain. Like I don't know how I got to that point, to be honest. Like I'm not here offering my insight on how I did get to this place that I am now, but I think I just really had to go through it with myself. I have been through a lot. Like we can just agree with that. I've been through hell, back, puberty, this, puberty, that. I've been through 2 puberties at this point, and I feel like to myself, like I owe it to have the confidence to not care what other people are saying about me or what people think about me. And I just want to stress that out to other people, and other people who might be feeling their trans identity and be in their journey. Like, you don't have to fit a certain mold in order to feel like a woman. Like, you don't have to have boobs to feel like a woman. You don't have to have an ass to feel like a woman. You don't have to have all of whatever they say you need to have in order to feel like a woman. Now, I will be honest and say that even though you can have a perception of how you are, it is really difficult to have that perceived in society. And it's been a struggle of mine even up until this year. I literally just had a mental breakdown, like a full-blown crying in the bathroom stall moment at the airport. I was actually coming home from my sister's bachelorette party in South Carolina in Charleston, and I had flown there, and it's, you know, I feel like it's always been a problem, and I've been very open on discussing this being a problem with TSA. Like every single time I go through TSA, every single time I have to travel, like I'll be like, oh my God, I'm trans. And then all of a sudden they're like, what does that mean? Do you want to be pat down by a guy? Like, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to be pulled aside by a person and they're not in a good mood. And then all of a sudden it becomes like this whole big ordeal and everyone's just staring at you and you're getting felt up in front of everyone. But then if you ask for a private room, then all of a sudden it becomes a bigger issue because then all of a sudden you have to walk into this room with a bunch of other people and then everyone's just standing there and so confused when you're telling them things. Your trans identity doesn't always translate, and I'm really asking, and hopefully by me having a platform and voicing this out there, that there will be change, and I really want there to be change. I guess I just ultimately don't want to feel invisible, and sometimes in this journey you can really feel that way. And even though I am living this crazy life, I just want to stress that out to anyone else who's feeling this way, that you're not alone. You know, I feel like it's so easy for someone to say that, but for someone to be in your shoes like I am, who's also trans, like, it is hard when someone misgenders you or when someone tries to put you and confine you in a certain kind of box. And it's really difficult. And even me today, like, I'm still facing that. Even though this has been such a transitional period for me, I feel like I am in this kind of limbo gray area. And I have been living my best authentic life, but I've also been facing a lot of troubles that I never even had to deal with before, such as relationships. Like, relationships to me have always been really tricky with my trans identity, but I've also faced great things and then also not so great things. Everyone wants to ask, how do you tell a guy that, you know, you're trans? Or if you're trans, does that mean that the guy is gay? No, like, literally none of those things. So for me personally, like, I try to get it off of my chest as soon as possible. Like, I obviously am not approaching a guy or, you know, having a guy approach me and being like, hi, I'm Nikita Dragun. Like, I am transgender. Hi, nice to meet you. That's like not the first thing that I ever do. But at the same time, I try to be very clear with it because I have been in really awful situations and in really uncomfortable situations. Never anything that's gotten to a point where I can't get out of it, that's gotten too physical. But I just really want to stress out there that it is important to be really safe because you just never know how someone's going to react to something. For me personally, what I've been struggling with is the fact that I am so visible and I am so, you know, out there and with my journey and with my story, that I got to a point where I wanted to withhold a lot of it because I felt like no man was ever going to accept me for who I am, and no one was just going to love me for who I am, and no one was just going to accept the fact that I had this like extra baggage on my, you know, on me because like, once I throw a label on it, I feel like it all goes to hell. And this is something that I faced multiple times in multiple different interactions where I have a genuine connection with a person and they're so about me and we're like really interested in each other, and then I kind of throw a label on it, or they Google me, or, you know, they just find something out about me, and all of a sudden it always relates to me being transgender. And that's what I feel like this overall topic is, where even though I am trans and I'm such an advocate, like, I'm so much more than that. And I want you to know that you're so much more than trans. You're so much more than being straight. You're so much more than just being a girl or a boy or whatever. Like, you are an individual person. For me, it's just really difficult because I have been approached by, you know, my Prince Charming, or I have been approached by celebrities. We know I've been approached by princes at this point. I feel like I'm always treated as the other woman, or like the side thing, or like the thing behind the scenes. And it's just become very frustrating. And especially in this past year, I feel like I've had to learn for myself that even though they appreciate you in some ways, if they don't appreciate you fully, like that's just disrespectful, and like you just can't put up with that at all. And this is honestly something I feel like I should save for another video of its own, but it really does bother me, the fact that so many trans people and so many trans girls specifically that I have had interactions with are having to resort to sex work and having to resort to using their bodies in order to get further in their transition. And by no means have I ever judged anyone, because I'm like the last person to ever judge anyone. But I just really want to let people know that this is something that is the dark side about being transgender. Like in LA, I would say about 70%, if not more, people who are trans or identified trans, at least around my age group, are working girls or have a sugar daddy or have someone that pays them for sex. And it's really dark and it's really scary, and it's something that I'm not saying lightly here on my channel, but it's something that I feel like people really should be aware of. I myself have absolutely never accepted compensation money from anyone for any of my surgeries, and I know that's so hard for people to believe. And that's another comment that I get all the time, like, oh, you paid for all your surgeries through all your sugar daddies, da da da. Like, girl, I know I joke about sugar daddies all the time, but literally my sugar daddy is YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. Like, social media is my sugar daddy. Makeup companies are my sugar daddies. Never had a sugar daddy. And it's just really sad, because when people do ask me how I paid for my surgeries and everything, like, I worked my ass off. It wasn't through insurance. It wasn't through having a sugar daddy or having someone who paid for my surgeries. I paid for all my surgeries on my own with my own money, and I wanted to do it in a different way. And I just feel so disgusted inside the fact that other trans people and other just people like me don't have that opportunity and aren't always so fortunate and have to resort to the sex work. They want to be able to afford their surgeries. They want to be able to afford a life. And there's just so many prejudices and there's just so much prejudice already on trans people that they really only have to resort to sex work. Even though I feel like I don't really know why I'm making this video right now, and I really don't even know if I'm gonna post it or keep it up on my channel. Like, I just feel like it's important to talk about it. And even though I am a little bit uncomfortable being so open and honest about it, and I feel like it's not something that everyone's having to go through and talk about it, it's something that I feel as a person and as a trans person, I feel like I need to talk about. Even though I've been talking about really, really hard things that I've been having to deal with and having to face in my transition lately, like, I also have so many amazing moments. Like, I just got my passport finished and done this year, and I feel like everything about that past life of mine is kind of closed into a chapter, and I've been living full-time as Nikita, and it's like not only so relieving and so amazing, but I feel like that's been the scary part about everything. It's like, yes, I am done with my transition, but it's like, what's next? Like, what is next? Like, who is Nikita? Like, now I'm living my life as authentically me, and it's almost been scaring me lately. And I feel like that's why I have been in such a transitional period within my transition and within my life, and it really is not making a lot of sense to me, and I feel like it won't for a while. But I just wanted to update you guys on just what's been happening, and I didn't want to continue this facade of like, oh, my life's perfect, ha ha ha. In my mind, at the time, I felt like this wasn't important to talk about. I felt like it wasn't important to say all this stuff. I felt like it wasn't important enough to share. I'm like, well, who cares about, the stuff that I'm having to face it? Like, there's a bunch of other people that are facing it 20 times worse. Okay, so now that I talked for literally forever, I just wanted to open up the floor and answer some questions that I asked of you guys in regarding to my trans identity. I realized pretty early on that I was different. At the time, I really didn't know if I was trans or not trans. I just knew I was different. I truly believed since I was a young age that I was born female, and it wasn't until someone pointed out to me in preschool, that was just the first time I ever realized that something was different about me. I never knew what transgender really meant. Obviously, I was so young. I feel like the most difficult part of my journey was just starting. I feel like I was always giving myself excuses after excuses after excuses of like, no one's ever gonna love me, no one's gonna accept me, I am never gonna make a full woman, I'm not gonna make it to that point. How am I gonna have money to do this. Like, my parents are gonna love me, my friends, what are they gonna say? Like, I was constantly making so many excuses. And it was really, really difficult for me just to start. I didn't even want to say I was transgender out loud to anyone. And actually, if you guys didn't know this, I didn't realize not many people knew this, but my I am transgender video was actually the first time I had ever said out loud, even to myself, that I am transgender. So that was just like the first moment when it just like all clicked for me. Me announcing to myself that I am transgender was like a big moment for me, and I feel like that was just the hardest part. I didn't lose too many friends. I felt like there was a lot of friends that were just naturally transitioning out of my life, and when I underwent my transition, I just felt like I didn't really reach out to anyone. I was just kind of waiting for people to respond to me, and I didn't feel it necessary to respond to a lot of people, if that makes any sense. Like, I wasn't like blasting it out to all my Facebook friends like, oh my god, I'm transgender, like, you know, you must call me this now. I just was waiting for the people who really meant something to my life be in my life, and I was like, anyone who wants to be in my life is going to transition with me, and anyone who doesn't want to be part of my life is just not going to be part of my life. And that goes for family and friends. I have been very fortunate in that my family has been so supportive in my transition, but it was not an overnight thing. It happened over the span of 3 years now. It's like only recently has my family been fully adopted and adapted to Nikita and everything. It's just really difficult, and I would stress to anyone who is going through a transition to know that it's not going to happen overnight. Just be really patient with it, but as well as being firm at the same time, because there were times when I felt like I did need to put my foot down, and I did need to let some people know that this is motherfucking Nikita and she's not going anywhere, okay? A lot of money. I just like, I don't know what people want me to say here. Like, I feel like surgeries are different prices for different things, obviously. So, you know, if you do your research, if you're really invested in wanting to get surgeries done, they are at all sorts of prices. To me, picking a doctor, obviously I know I just like talked about me being addicted to plastic surgery, but I guess it's for better, because I want to stress the fact that you should go to everyone for an answer. Like, surgeries aren't necessary for transition. It's just an added thing. Like, I know people who have transitioned on hormone therapy. It doesn't always have to involve hormone therapy or surgeries. That's just something that my life had to involve, because girl, I'm living with boobs like I need boobs. Like, that's just what it was. I am very weird and like a mutant when it comes to surgeries, and you can witness this in all of my documentary kind of style videos that I've done over the past 3 years. I just heal really fast, and I feel like more than anything, it's just my mind will. Like, I really wanted every single surgery that I've always gotten. And so for me, I've always just been like, I've wanted this. This is something that I need. I'm going to be so happy about this. So that constant like reassurance in the back of my mind has always gotten me through every situation, no matter how difficult, no matter if I couldn't even get out of a bed for literally months on end. I've just always had this notion that I've been able to heal really quickly, which I always have been. Okay, so I feel like this question is very loaded a little bit. I don't feel guilty at all, but at the same time, I feel like I'm very honest. Like, I feel very, very fortunate in my life that I've been able to do what I've been able to do, and I feel like my journey as a trans person is just as valid as anyone else's. And I know that a lot of times I get a lot of hate, not only from cisgender folk, from people who are just straight and whatever, but I also get a lot of hate from people who identify as trans or who are also trans, because they feel like my life was all of a sudden so easy and I just had it so easy. I feel like everyone has their own struggles, so I feel like it's really unfair for someone to say that my personal journey was easier than someone else's. That's like someone saying that, you know, their life is easier than another. All right, guys, that's all for this video. Thank you so much for sitting here and just chatting with me. I, again, am just in this different spot in my transition that I just wanted to be open and honest about. There's just been so much on my chest that I've just been meaning to want to say, not only for everyone else to hear, but also for myself to hear and just to get it out. Ultimately, I am so happy at everything I've accomplished. I'm just so happy on everything that I've been doing lately, but at the same time, there are some issues that I have been facing. So I just felt like it was just necessary for me to just talk, for me to just sit here and talk. In no way am I trying to paint out this perfect fantasy that I'm living, because I am constantly going through something, and I just want to let you guys know that you're not going through something else alone as well. Thank you guys again so much for watching. If you want to go ahead and subscribe, like this video, comment down below, let me know if you want more of these talking types of videos. I don't know, just let me know if you guys are having a good day, and hopefully you are having a good day, because I feel so much better about my day now, because I just feel like so much lighter. I feel like I've talked about so much. Anyways, thank you guys again so much for watching, and don't forget, breathe fire, my dragons.
Cut, cut.